I'm excited on this Friday here as we head into the last week of the summer. I'm on vacation next week. I'm pumped up. We got meaningful football coming our way. We have a big exhibition game, preseason game coming up tomorrow night. The one thing that's bothering me, though, BT, is that I just don't feel good about Robert Saleh deciding to play Aaron Rodgers in a preseason game. Like, normally my philosophy would be like, yeah, give starters a series. With Rodgers, you shouldn't do it. This is a guy who hasn't played in a preseason in 5 years. I don't want to have the season ruined, God forbid. And even if it's a minor thing, anything that will prevent Rodgers from being on the field on September 11th would bother me. And if the Jets do run him out there, and they're going to.
He's playing.
And they don't know how long either. It's not just going to be one series and out. It's going to be more than that, Saleh says. I don't like that idea.
You know, there's only one version of Sal that I don't like. And there's a lot of layers to you. You know what's what I don't like?
I hate them all, as a matter of fact.
and this, thank God, doesn't show up too often. But the one that is not really fun to be around, soft Sal. I don't like soft Sal. Soft Sal is a contradiction to the Sal that I like. Hey, what are you worried about?
Dude,
it's football.
You're not worried at his
not one
age.
bit.
He's had the calf issues. Let me ask you something. Why do it? Like, why even? What is the reward for this? What? I don't want his first time to be at MetLife. He's played at MetLife before. Like, Aaron Rodgers will be fine. Hasn't played in the preseason since 2018.
He hasn't needed to, though. You see, listen, don't get me wrong. On some level, I understand. I mean, fundamentally, I know what you're saying. The more and the quicker you could get everybody, really, but especially somebody of that magnitude, to week one, keep them in bubble wrap. But, yeah, Sal, I also think that everybody's assuming that this is just snap the finger, seamless. Rodgers shows up, flings 40 touchdowns. Jets win 13, 14 games, get a top seed, get a top 2 seed, go to the Super Bowl and win. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts here. One is Dwayne Brown. One is Becton on the right side. One is AVT, who missed a lot of last season, who's awesome, as we know. A couple of new running backs, which obviously leads to it. Again, I don't want to get in the weeds of football stuff, but like these, like the kid from Pitt, if he plays a whole lot, learning how to chip block. I mean, it's just things that I don't want to experiment against the ferocious front of the Bills. And the Giants, by the way, have a pretty damn good defensive line. So I want these guys to be a little battle-tested. And I know that you just minimized it, like he's played at MetLife before. I get that. And I know it's not the same comparison, but so I was down the hall for, 10 years doing national radio. Literally 12 feet from the studio that we're in now.
Right.
Where Joe and Evan were, and Carton, and obviously Evan and Tiki. And
Mike before that.
Of course, Mike before. That's the Mike Francesa studio. Even though somebody took the sign down.
No, I put it back up.
Was that you who wrote that?
I did write that.
Okay.
Man, pay respect to the legend. Anyway,
I agree. It shouldn't have been written down. But then when I came here, even though it's only 10 feet down the hall, the first show, I probably felt more comfortable than the second show, pardon me. Felt more comfortable than the first one.
I get it.
I believe in repetition and creatures of habit. Let's go. Let's play some football. I can't wait.
BT, here's the point. We talked about this earlier in the week or last week. I forget now. It's all blending together here. But the first 4 weeks in the NFL season, while the games count, they are essentially preseason games. Like, teams are still getting a feel. I'm okay with Aaron Rodgers getting behind that offensive line, whoever it may be, on Monday night, September 11th against the Bills. I'm okay with that being the first time. I'm not okay with putting a guy out there at his age in a meaningless game, hasn't played in preseason since 2018, where there really, to me, is no good. Like, you don't want to see Rodgers get hit, do you? You could make the case for a running back. I want to get that first hit out of the way. And by the way, even now, I still say week 1 should be that first hit. There's just too much risk involved. It doesn't. What's the reward?
The reward is he feels comfortable.
Yeah, he said he was going to go to Saleh. Now, this is a Saleh thing.
I was going there. You're beating me to it. Go ahead. This is the interesting part of it. Go ahead.
Right, so Saleh brought the idea to Rodgers, and Rodgers said, I was going to actually come to you with that and say I want to play. I think they're both making a mistake. I think this is a case where the head coach has to say, no. Like, Rodgers going to him saying, hey, I'm thinking about playing. If I'm the head coach, I'm saying, look, I respect it. I love it. No, there's no need for you to play in a preseason game with, to your point, BT, you talk about the Giants defense, you talk about the Jets offensive line. Those, to me, are even more reasons why I wouldn't put him out there in a game that doesn't mean anything.
But isn't that the larger dynamic this year? It's obviously about how the Jets do. Of course, it's number one, how Rodgers does, how he transitions to a new city, a new team, and all that. But like the Saleh Rodgers thing is so interesting because if Saleh, listen, Robert Saleh is not telling Aaron Rodgers you're not playing if Aaron Rodgers wants to play.
Why? He's
because
the head
he's just
coach.
not. Whether it's right or wrong, that's a different part of the equation. He's just not. He doesn't have the juice. Rodgers is doing whatever he wants.
Yeah, I know, but I don't like that dynamic. I was going to try to use a Giants analogy, but there's nobody that has the weight that Aaron Rodgers does, obviously, on the Giants.
Go back to Eli.
Yeah, I think Eli Manning, if it's Eli with Brian Dable and Eli says, I want to play, coach, Dable says, no, you're not playing. End of story. Like, even though Eli won 2 Super Bowls, I still think Dable is going to control things.
By the way, I agree with that. I actually agree with that.
Right. So here, all right, put it this way. If Rodgers was on the Giants and he goes, hey, coach, I want to play, and Brian Dable says, hell no, you're not playing, what do you think's going to happen? Dable's winning that.
Well, he wouldn't go to the Giants because he wants to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, I get it. But either way.
Just kidding, Giants fans.
Yeah, you're going to rile everybody up. Either way, we're here, and he is going to play tomorrow night. Now, I'm excited to watch it.
I understand what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
But you're going to the game. You're even more excited than I am.
I am going to the game,
You got a great hookup. That's going to be awesome for you.
Fun.
But
taking the fam. Yep.
Now, are you more excited to see Rodgers or more like, hey, just don't get hurt?
No. I want to play football. Listen, but here's the other thing. Do I think that the Giants with Wink and what they plan on doing defensively, we talk about how benign or how fairly benign, and I know it increases a little bit as you get deeper into the preseason. Like week 1, it's like handoff, left tackle, screen pass, 6-yard pass to the tight end for maybe one bomb, like Zach threw a bomb against the Browns in the Hall of Fame game. But it's the most basic, benign components to any playbook offensively, and that generally applies to the defense as well. You don't want to put too much on film. You don't want to give any opponent anything that they could have more time to prepare for, and you can't catch them off guard and get ready for you with. So I don't think that Wink Martindale is going to unleash this exotic, whatever.
But he may not have to.
Put it this way: whatever he's holding in his back pocket for Dallas or Philly or the Commanders in a big spot, he's not unleashing against Aaron Rodgers. So I know that you can't completely control the flow of football. It's football. They're big, strong, aggressive, tough, fast. Things happen. But I'm comfortable. Honestly, Sal, I'm comfortable with Aaron Rodgers being able to see what's in front of him. I need this offensive line to get some reps because Oliver and those beasts for the Bills are going to come as innocuously as I think the Giants might tomorrow.
But the O-line's different, BT. I'm fine with that. Like, you got to at some point play some starters, especially, like, there's a reward for the offensive line playing together. They need to gel together. Like, that is imperative. Aaron Rodgers does not have to take a preseason snap. That's what, why?
The cadence is different. The cadence, that's a little
but
thing.
But they work on that in practice. And wouldn't you rather, God forbid something goes wrong here. Now, I am taking matters into my own hands and guaranteeing that the first time anybody sees Aaron Rodgers in a Jets uniform is Monday night, September 11th. I guarantee that if I don't play him in the preseason. Now there's a chance he doesn't. So now what? Let's say, to use Saleh's words, now what? Let's say Rodgers, God forbid, something happens, he gets hurt. Now what? Now you just torpedoed the start of the season, at the very least, for what? And again, I am of the mindset, I always used to be like, I want to play the starters, or, in a game at the end of the season, do you rest your starters or you go into the postseason? No, I want to play these guys, get them going. But I've evolved, and in this particular, because guys get hurt all the time, in this particular case, for a quarterback who's experienced everything, hasn't taken a preseason snap since 2018, 5 years ago. What is the point of playing Aaron Rodgers?
I want to be clear. I understand what you're saying, and usually I would agree. It's not that I've fundamentally changed, how I view this type of situation, Rodgers or any veteran quarterback in the final preseason game. I've tweaked it. Listen, I'm not that far from where you are. I'm not other side of the aisle, if you want to throw a little politics. I'm not, but I'm more and it has nothing to do with it being excited because I'm going to be there. No, it's not about the aesthetics. I do believe that there's value for a team who's trying to learn how to win and for a guy who's trying to, as seamlessly and as quickly transition to the uber talent, uber leader this team needs him to be. But listen, there's risk. And if something goes awry,
you're going to be screaming your head off Monday at 10.
I'm going to be a nutball. I don't want to say where you're going on vacation, but
I'll be on vacation.
You will hear me from a different state.
I'll be hanging out with you on Sunday, so I already know what you're going to be saying.
Right. Then I'll let loose, right? And I'll let loose on the show. That's true. He's coming over on Sunday with the fam. I can't wait. I guess, bubble wrap to me only goes so far. They're football players. I trust that Hackett will put the offense, Rodgers, in the best position not to get hurt, but it's football, and I'm going to take a chance with this. I want him to play a little bit. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I just don't see the risk. Why risk it? 877-337-6666. Brandon Tierney, Saleh on the Fan. Our friends at Town Fair Tire remind you that at Town Fair Tire, you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Tommy is in Bayshore, Long Island. What's up, Tommy?
Good morning, fellas. How are you?
How are you, Tommy?
I'm good. Hey, I got three things. First of all, your question about Jet fans can't wait to see Rodgers. I'm one of them. I can't wait. But three things. I hope they're not doing this to satisfy some thing about the fans having to see him right away.
Not at all.
No.
The second thing is, I don't want Rodgers to even stub his toe coming out of the locker room in a meaningless game. I mean, we've had enough bad luck in Jetsville. And the third thing I got is, and this is what I'm curious about. It's not like Saleh is making Rodgers play tomorrow, because we all know Rodgers is calling the shots. So it seems to me Rodgers wants to play.
Yep.
So that might be hard to argue with, but I don't know. It just seems to me
a little reckless.
It's a meaningless game.
Yeah.
Why do it?
Yeah. Listen, I think that most people probably going to agree with Saleh on this, and. Again, fundamentally, I get his point. It's crystal clear. Listen, the first thing you said, and we kind of responded, but just to go back to that, this is not about placating the fans. That's a given. Right. But what this is, larger issue, and I'm very curious how this will manifest itself throughout the season. This is absolutely about acquiescing to, I won't use the word demand, but about the direction of the quarterback's wants. And this is not going to be an isolated example. That's going to be so interesting this season with those two.
But Saleh went to him, and it is going to be an interesting dynamic. Saleh went to him. So I guess they were, agreeing on this before they even knew about it. Saleh, and I give him credit for saying that, hey, this is my decision. I want you to play.
Yep.
And Rodgers comes back and says, oh, yeah, I mean, Rodgers himself said, I think Robert was more worried about me saying no. Because if Rodgers said, no, I don't want to play, and Saleh wanted him to play, then you have...
But there's no way he's going to play if he doesn't want him to play. There's no way Saleh's going to say you're playing.
No, but then there's an issue there a little bit. So at least Saleh brought it up. Rodgers says, well, I was going to come to you and ask to play anyway. I think this is a case where it should have been the opposite from the head coach, where he's got to have the team's best interest at any big picture. And not to say that you're being scared, and I understand why you would say, I'm softening up. It is a soft thing, but there's also no reward. With risk should come reward. There is no risk whatsoever. Or there is no reward whatsoever. It's only risk to me by playing Rodgers, a guy who doesn't need to prove anything.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think that by Saleh even going to him initially to gauge his interest in playing is a massive concession. And it's one that, and again, that's a different conversation. I don't even know that Saleh should have given him the choice.
Right.
I get it. He asked Rodgers, but you very well, I could very easily take the position that Saleh just said, hey, week one, we're good. That's it. I know you probably, do you want to play? You probably want to play. You might want to play. You're not playing. The one thing that I do disagree with, because you've said this a couple times, and again, fundamentally, I get it because I've said this in the past as well. This notion that the first couple of weeks of the season is a laboratory to experiment and transition into the season and knock off the rust. Nonsense. The Jets don't have that luxury. Aaron Rodgers is 39, all right?
Saleh doesn't have that luxury.
That's true. That's a good point.
But that's why maybe you're talking about individual motives here, looking at, hey, I need him to be ready before September 11th.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, the Jets' schedule is brutal. You can't be tipping your toe in the water Monday against Buffalo, and then obviously week 2 in Dallas. I'll be out there. It's going to be a sick trip. And Kansas City shortly thereafter, Sunday Night Football. You got to be ready to play. And listen, yes, I get, as I process it, with my mind, I do get it. Like, well, does it really matter if you win 12 or 13 games? If you're the team that we think you could be, that team should theoretically be able to go and win anywhere on the road. And I do think with this Jets defense that it's going to travel and they're going to be competitive no matter what. But you got to win this division. Like, you should be vying for the top seed. I'm not saying that they'll get it, but this is not let's waltz in the side door, get a wild card, and be happy. And every game that you sacrifice, including week 1 against the Bills, is a problem to me. And if they're not ready to play against the Bills because Rodgers hasn't taken a meaningful snap, that's something I'm trying to circumvent. That's all I'm saying.
But who says that they're not going to be ready or that they're sacrificing a game just because Rodgers hasn't taken a snap? And who's to say, how long is Rodgers going to play? We don't know. It's going to be more than one series, though, right? He wants him to get,
I would think into the very early second quarter.
You think he's going to play a whole quarter plus?
I think he's going to play more than one series, don't you?
No, I mean, I don't know, but dude, you're out of your mind if you do that. I cannot do that. And by the way, let's just say that he does, right? You're right. He plays a quarter and a half. What's the difference? One quarter of football really is going to get him ready for week 1? He's not going to be completely ready anyway. Even now, the starters, it used to be, they play a half, or maybe they play 3 quarters, whatever it may be, and then they're out of there in that third preseason game. Well, he's not playing 3 quarters anyway, so he's going to play a fraction of the game. He's not going to be fully ready anyway. To me, good God. I mean, the Jets have come this far.
So you think it's reckless? Would you use the word cavalier? I know you think it's unnecessary. You going to take it so far as to say you think it's just reckless?
I do, because it's easy to say that it's reckless on Monday. God forbid something happens. So, yeah, going in, I think it's stupid. I think it is reckless to a certain extent. Matt is calling from Staten Island. What's up, Matt?
Matty.
Hey, what's up, guys? Good morning.
Hey,
love the show. First-time caller.
Thank you.
First time, that boy.
Hey, check it out, guys. I'm a Giants fan, but I've been fired up. All my friends are Jets fans. They can't stop talking about it. My opinion, the bubble wrap's got to go. You have a tough first 4 weeks. You got to hit the ground running. There is no better exclamation mark to mini camp than Aaron Rodgers going out there, giving you a good first quarter. All the starters, young guys fired up to go. You close out camp with a win, and you roll into these 4 weeks. What do you think?
Well, would you like Daniel Jones to play an entire game? Now, I know it's different because he's not as...
I don't think Daniel Jones has the same impact on the team at this stage. I'm a big Giants fan.
What?
But I think all these young guys that we brought in to Jets camp, the young wide receiver core that hasn't had a chance to play with this guy yet. But
the Giants have new weapons as well, starting with Darren Waller.
Yeah, but I think the Giants offense goes through Saquon at this point in time. Danny Dimes could be the same quarterback he was last year.
So are you okay with Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley playing 3 quarters of this meaningless preseason game?
I don't think with the change of helmet at quarterback for the Jets,
hold on. But that's a different question. I'm just asking you. You said you're a Giant fan, and you said Rodgers should play. So I'm asking you, are you as a Giant fan okay with Jones and Barkley playing 3 quarters of this meaningless preseason
Not 3 quarters, just to clarify.
Whatever,
a quarter and a half. Yeah, no, that matters, but go ahead.
My answer is that Jones and Barkley aren't new toys. Jones and Barkley, we know what we're going to get with them. They already have a relationship. What? They're established in the offense.
So
that's inconsistent.
Please, again. Can you answer the question? Are you okay or not okay with Jones and Barkley playing in the preseason?
You don't need them to play in the preseason.
So he's not.
So he wants your guy, Rodgers, to play, who, by the way, he's saying Rodgers is not experienced.
Yeah. Well, the new toy. I know what he means. I think it's a little inconsistent, his approach to both situations, but it's okay. Hey. I want to win tomorrow, and I want to win October 29th. Let's go. 2-0. Sweep the floor.
But you cannot call.
Right, Dovey. 2-0.
You cannot call and say that, Rodgers should play because he should get acclimated with his new team, and yet, Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, no, they should be rested for the regular season. It doesn't work like that.
I don't think he explained it well. I mean, the one thing, and again, I don't necessarily agree, but Jones, they already know the system. What Kafka, what Dable expects. There's just a lot of new moving parts for the Jets, and I'm a believer. Week 1 Buffalo, I want to be ready.
Right, but
I want to be ready.
What moving parts? Nathaniel Hackett's like Rich Rodgers and
Hackett's new. Rodgers is new.
But they're together,
on the
they're
right
not.
side. Becton's new on the right side. You got a lot of new pieces.
We could say that about every team. I obviously I hope nothing bad happens. I just don't understand why you would risk something, especially now. Look, you could also argue if it's one series, then what's the point? So, okay, if you're going to play him. Play him. But my goodness, if he plays a full quarter, maybe more, at what point are you going to start to get antsy? If Rodgers in there at the end of the second half or the end of the second quarter, how are you going to be?
He's not going to be out there. He won't be.
1 quarter max, you're saying 1 quarter
I think
in a
one series, and this might even be ambitious. I think I'm probably, if this was an over-under, I'm probably going to go over and probably be wrong.
What would you do?
I would play him, I would give him 3 series. It depends on how long, like if the Giants have some prolonged drives and he's not, like, I want him to get, 13, 14 snaps. I do.
God, even with the risk of him
Couple
potentially
of
missing that opener.
Sure.
Man. I mean, look, I'm not saying he's going to have a season-ending injury, but there's risk of him missing the opener. That would torpedo their season.
I understand that. There's also a risk of, without naming names, because I don't want to jinx anybody, one of these guys getting in a crash.
Yeah,
I don't mean a fatal crash, but, like a Pete Alonso, remember his SUV incident down at Port St. Lucie a couple of years back. Just play him. He's not made out of glass.
Well, you could say, like, there's a risk of you walking out the door going 100%. to work. Right, but I have to go to work. Rodgers does not have to play in that game.
Yeah, and there's a way to mitigate risk. And I understand the Jets are not doing that here. But, oddly, I'm okay with it.
Brandon Tierney, Saleh on the Fan, 877-337-6666.